Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so just wanted to react to the Sacramento Kings Golden State Warrior game 2 because that was a very interesting game, and it just further reinforces my belief in what it is that I've been theorizing in regards to this league and where depth is most needed for every team that wants to consider themselves a contender. Now, I'm not saying that Golden State doesn't have depth, because I think they do, but nothing like what Sacramento is able to throw at them. And tonight, we just saw Golden State drop yet another road game in this season. And I said, my initial pick was Golden State to win the series. I think I don't know what I said. I don't think I even put a number out there, probably in 6 or something like that. But I picked Golden State to win the series. But that was before I started actually really thinking a lot about what it was that was being done down there, or what I thought would be happening. I didn't break it down. And when I did break it down, I realized that my pick was not something that I wanted to stay married to. But it's too late for that. So I'm just riding with what I don't think is going to work for the sake of integrity. But that's what you guys know about me. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to tell you guys the truth when I say the Sacramento Kings may actually get a chance to win this series in short order, because the Golden State Warriors have yet to prove they can win in any other building outside of their own. And while this series is about to shift back to Oakland, or rather San Francisco now, at the end of the day, I saw some things down there that I don't know if they're going to be able to shore up, that Golden State Warrior team. The only thing that I can say that may be a silver lining is Domantas Sabonis took on a lot of punishment tonight. And if he keeps taking punishment like he did tonight, he's certainly going to be a lesser version of himself near the end of this series if it stretches out. He took entirely too much punishment. But all in all, what I saw out there was a Golden State Warrior team that had 11 unforced turnovers. And you got to give credit to the Sacramento Kings for stealing the ball 11 times. That's something I told all of my Laker family that the Sacramento Kings were prone to do at the beginning of the season, when we first talked about how they had drafted Keegan Murray and had Davion Mitchell and these different type of players that are going to bring a new dynamic to the Sacramento Kings that just simply hasn't been there, and that's defensive-minded, homegrown talent. You know what I mean? And I told people, even though this year's Sacramento Kings team is known for shooting the ball and scoring a lot, they have players on this team that specialize in defense, and I'm almost certain that they have the best perimeter defensive player in the Western Conference on their team right now in Davion Mitchell. And of course, I hear KP, seconding that. He said he could be arguably that as well. And it's one of them situations where you just kind of know when you see a player like Davion Mitchell drafted as high as he was, and you see them slap him next to next to the De'Aaron Fox and Tyrese Halliburton, and then they ship Halliburton out. It's like clearly they see something in Davion that they don't want to let go of. And I know what it is. It's two-way ability at an extremely high level, with defense being the focus, having been an offensive team. And I think that that's a very serious trait. Obviously, Tyrese Halliburton is also a fantastic defender, so I wouldn't have let him go for anything in the world, but that's not the argument we're making right now. We're talking about the fact that Davion Mitchell should be kept and how much he contributed to overall what we saw tonight, when you consider Sacramento Kings getting 11 steals and knowing that he had a lot to do with that. But then, just to get back to Golden State, 11 was another number that they had that was unforced and the steals. So altogether, they had 22 turnovers. And so you just understand that was a big problem. And then you saw the foul trouble that their bigs got into tonight. I would love to see what Golden State fans think of the officiating tonight. I don't know that they have a huge gripe. I'm not saying that I'm certain. I'm just imagining that they probably are upset, because they did have a lot going against them in that regard. Draymond Green picked up his 4th foul early in the third quarter. Kevon Looney picked up his 5th foul early in the third quarter. And the Warriors were out of fouls with maybe like 10 minutes left to go in the third quarter. So it was just a lot of fouls strung together really quickly to start the quarter. And I think whether you believe it was legitimate or not, it definitely affected the game. Also, we saw a lot of stoppage tonight. Draymond Green had a situation where Sabonis in the scrum that they had gotten into under the basket, Sabonis and he had fallen to the ground together. And as Draymond was getting up, Sabonis had locked his ankle so that he couldn't run to get back down court. And Draymond, in response to that, stomps on the man's chest, or what I thought was his ribs. Now, I thought that was totally unnecessary. And I also can see the angle where some would say that wasn't as serious as DeMontis may have made it seem. But you got to sell it. I mean, if a guy is going to stomp on my chest, I'm going to act like it broke several ribs if I'm on a basketball floor in the playoffs, even if it didn't hurt that bad. And I'm not saying it did or didn't, but I'm saying Draymond left himself open to be ejected, and that's exactly what happened. They kicked him out the game with about 7:30 to go in the fourth quarter, and they were only down by 4. And it's like you look at the Draymond Green factor and you say how much he was affecting things on both sides of the floor. And you're on the road, you got this issue with your team having trouble scoring on the road. You got the issue with the past, and how things went with the teammate and everybody, seeing that on camera. And you get all the way to a playoff game, 2, with your team having this problem with the road games, and you do this? You do this in the first round when you're down in the series and your team needs you on the floor because your other big is in foul trouble. It's just like, and you're up to be paid, and you think somebody gonna want to give you all your money when there's so much of this to look at, Dre. It just becomes a situation where it's like, brother, I don't know what you want people to think, man. I don't know what you want people to think. I get it. He grabbed your ankle. You know what I mean? But what you did made it 20 times worse. It's one thing to grab a guy when he's trying to run. Yeah, that can make him fall. Maybe you mess up your ankle because of what he did. That's not cool. But you stomping on his chest and rib at 250 pounds, bro? You could really do damage there. Now, I'm not sure you did or not. I'm not sure if you stomped all the way down or if you pulled up a little bit as you were squatting down. It was hard to tell if you were actually stomping as hard as you could have. But it looked like you jumped off of that man's chest. It looked like that in real time. I was hoping that you had pulled up your leg just a little bit so that you weren't completely crushing this man. But when I look at the tape of you swinging at Jordan Poole and I see you connecting square on to his face, knowing that's supposed to be your teammate, knowing that's somebody you're supposed to be, swinging for, not against, I look and say I can imagine he'd do that to the other team. I mean, you know what I mean? And that's what your reputation is gonna do. It's gonna make it so that people look at you and say, yeah, that's par for the course. He's on brand with that one. I just don't know what Draymond wants people to think of him, man. He gets on here and he speaks so eloquently on his podcast and he keeps us captivated, and then he goes out there and he does this in the biggest games against Bron, kicking him in the balls, cost you a whole ring, and they didn't trade you because they believe in you. And fast forward many years, and you're doing this in the playoffs. And it's like, bro, there's so many different things that come to mind, but none more so than just understanding that this league is a league full of actors. Everybody's acting. So you can't do nothing at all, because whatever it is, people are going to act. And that's really what I take away from the situation. Do I think Sabonis was as hurt as he was acting like he was? Probably not, man. Probably not. Honestly, when he got up, shot them free throws, by the end of the game, he was dunking and running so fast, I don't even think he was really hurt. I don't think his chest or his ribs were really actually hurt. But he effectively made it look like he was down there dying for about a good 10 minutes. And that effectively made it look as if it was necessary to remove Draymond from the game. And it's like, Dre, they needed you, bro. And you know who else knew that? Sabonis. That's why he baited you into that entire situation. By grabbing your ankle initially. Nobody even remembers he did that. You know what I'm saying? So it's the type of stuff like, these are the type of strategic chess moves that I know a real competitor is going to do. Especially in the playoffs, you can't give them nothing. Just like I was saying in a previous video in regards to players tipping over like bowling pins. You can't lean your body on anyone ever in the NBA, because at the end of the day, these guys are going to act They're going to fall over. They're going to act like grenades have been exploded at their feet. They're going to act like somebody shot them. They're going to act all kinds of ways when contact comes their way, because that's going to get them the calls that help their team. So if you're willing to do things that hurt your team, like situations such as these, they're going to take advantage and get you out of here. And everything that I saw from the champs tonight was just self-inflicted. Self-inflicted wounds, man. Bad passes that just led to nothing, throwing the ball off of the back of people's shins and stuff like this. Weird stuff, man. Weird. Turnovers, unnecessary passes going completely to the right of the players or to the left of players, and I'm just sitting there watching the Warriors continue to toss away possessions. I'm just sitting here saying, this kind of epitomizes my problem with the era. You know, teams didn't really have to focus on being excellent, because the way the game was set up, they could just shoot the three, and because this team was so great at shooting the three, they were able to forego certain things like being respectful of the three. You shooting 40 threes in a game, you got to get some dribble penetration. You know what I mean? There's certain things that just have to happen. And I didn't see enough of that from the Golden State Warriors. Most of what I saw was just them throwing the ball away, playing so hard on the defensive end. Give them credit, they were hustling on the defensive end, but fouling. Whether you want to give them credit for that or the referees helping along, I don't know. But you got to help yourself too. It's at some point in time, you got to help yourself. You know what I mean? I just didn't see a lot of that from the GSW tonight. Now, on the other end, Sacramento, they were fantastic. I mean, you talk about Malik Monk and his shot making, that dude's special. Kevin Huerter had a huge game tonight. As I said, Domantas Sabonis, even though he took on a lot of punishment, he was everywhere. The offensive rebound, defensive rebound, scoring, passing, he did it all. And it was just a big night for a guy like Davion Mitchell on both sides of the floor, who was forcing the issue with a lot of what was going on there. Harrison Barnes as well, definitely somebody that has to be taken seriously on that team. Keegan Murray, I mean, they all really played a strong enough, game overall to knock the Warriors off when the Warriors aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I'm telling you, this team has a problem. The Warriors do. And it ain't limited to just what we're seeing. They're going to have to make some decisions. And I know that they've been putting them off, and they botched the kids, so to speak, with Wiseman being in Detroit in a situation like this where they probably needed his 7 feet and probably 30 points, 15 rebounds, what he's doing for Detroit. He could have did that for them. And I don't know if their situation is like the Lakers and THT, where they thought they had a bad contract until they shipped the players to a place where they could actually use them, and then they found out that it wasn't a bad contract. But whatever financial circumstances they were trying to avoid having happen, giving away a center at that age, at that cachet, just because he had one knee injury, it's a terrible decision. And when Wiseman turns into whatever he's going to turn into, we're going to remember that he's supposed to be a GSW. They would have had his bird whites and everything. So I don't know. They gave up on a developing prospect when they really needed what it is that he does. So, like I said, I know the numbers were crazy. They're going to be spending a whole lot of money to keep that team together. But at the end of the day, you know what they're going to actually end up doing if they're smart? They're going to probably blow that thing up to a degree. They're going to definitely let Draymond walk. You just got to, man. He's not going to be worth $50 million going forward. We know that. He's going to be excellent for them. But like I said, it's just going to limit what it is that they can also do. You let Wiseman walk. What you going to do? Let Kuminga walk next, Moody walk next to keep Draymond? I mean, these type of things just are ill-advised at this point. It's just ill-advised. And I know how much Dre does for the team, but you know what I'm saying? Look where we're at, man. Look where we're at in game 2. These are the type of things that I just have to make an argument for. I can't. It's the same thing I said about Westbrook. If you're going to have people on your team that are going to do so much for you, but are also going to do things to hurt themselves, they're going to just by default hurt the team. Guys who have the self-destructing gene need not drag the team down, and they need not make up 3/4 of what the team is, in my humble opinion. Now, granted, they've won the championship with Draymond Green, so I don't hold a lot of weight in this conversation. But 9 out of 10 times, that player is going to keep you from getting the championship. And to a point, he did the year he kicked Bron in the shins. And it was more so somewhere else, but we're going to say in the shin just to be nice about it. At the end of the day, I think when it comes down to it, Dre is a hell of a player. And they're not better without him because of what he does on the offensive end. So if they lose his piece, they're going to need somebody to do that for them. And I don't know that you replace that. You probably don't. But if he's going to do stuff that's going to hurt himself when he needs not to the most and drag the team down with him, it's just going to cost you in the end. It's just going to cost you. And he does this unapologetically. And if that's what Golden State's culture is, to just roll with Dre on everything, and that's just what it is. But from afar, as a Laker fan, ain't no way. There's no way I would want him on my team doing all of this. There's no way. You know what I'm saying? That's a situation that only a fan can appreciate. When I sit up and watch a playoff game and understand the fullness of the circumstance, how much his position is needed in that exact moment, and he finds a way to get himself removed from the game. And then it's like his energy is not reflecting of anything wrong. It's like nobody's ever held him accountable for this. He getting all in the fans, screaming in the stands like he's justifiable in any of this energy, bro. Regardless if that man is hurt or if he's embellishing. You made a mistake that hurt the team. This ain't the time to be slapping and clapping and acting like you've helped it. You ain't helped nothing. You know what I'm saying? Somebody gotta say these things. Somebody gotta be able to reiterate the importance of not hurting oneself in the dang playoffs. And so that's what I can give to everybody who watches me. You know, self-inflicted wounds in the playoffs are gonna leave the other team happy, man. At the end of the day, they're lighting the beam right now because of that decision to just simply not be smart in the situation. You know, and tempers are high. The game is physical. This guy's holding me. What the heck is he doing? In the moment, you kick him. But you just got to know that in the moment, you kicking him is the very thing that's going to cost you the loss. That can't be what happened. That can't be what you do. Your instincts got to have you leaning into something that's going to leave you a winner. This is what we talk about, being intellectually competitive in our nature. This is what we're referring to. Not doing stuff like what Dre did tonight and then sticking your chest out and not realizing that what you did is costing your team. And nobody should be proud of you. Nobody's proud of that, bro. You stepped on that man's ribs. If he's hurt, that sucks. If he's embellishing, you gave him a reason to. And it doesn't help. You know what I mean? And it fractures the chemistry because people don't want to tell him that, it seems. Just looking over at the bench, everybody's kind of silent, like that's cool. It's like, nah, that's not cool. You need somebody to look at the enforcer and say, you're hurt. You're defeating your purpose. If you're supposed to be helping us to victories, you're defeating your purpose. You know what I'm saying? If the point is to enforce, all you did was kick our behind. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where I'm at with it. Guy has a bunch of rings. You would think he know better. That's what it comes down to. But if he did, he'd have even more. So that's where I come through with this conversation with the Golden State Warriors. I'm not a fan of the Golden State Warriors, so it's easy for me to talk like this. I'm a Laker fan. But if you follow me, you know I talk about my team even worse. So it's nothing to me. I tell you what I see. And what I see there is a player that should just be wiser on the basketball floor with the experience that he has. All of them should. When you think of Steph Curry and his errant passes, he's still doing errant passes 7-8 years after winning his first championship. Like, why are we even having these type of decisions? Why are these even traits, yo? Like, that's what I don't understand. I really have a hard time understanding that guys being at that level, doing certain things over and over again that I don't see as even smart. Like, I don't get it. I've been watching Steph Curry throw the ball behind his back with 2 minutes to go left in playoff games for years, and he's still doing stuff like that. He's still doing stuff like that. And so it's like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It just harkens back to the idea that guys just kind of were able to get away with not focusing in on the excellence of the game because they were able to do certain things that allowed them to dominate the field they were in. But I don't know how that's going to hold up historically in the end because I think greater excellence is coming. Because there's so much room for just more focus on from possession to possession that you just know these kids are going to know. You know they're going to pay more attention to these things than their predecessors. Because a lot of people in this era did not. They didn't care nothing about possession to possession to possession. They didn't care about the details of the game. And so this is what I'm like, I don't know. I guess I have a deeper appreciation for detail-oriented stuff. And when I don't see it in excellence, it confuses me more than anything else. But that's the, I guess that's the beauty of God's gift when He provides somebody talent. You know what I mean? They can overcome it without being excellent. They can rise to the top of the pile just by showing that gift. But I'm telling you, if everybody's excellent, they wouldn't be able to. If everybody was detail oriented, they wouldn't be able to. You know what I mean? And I think the Sacramento Kings displayed themselves to be detail oriented tonight. That's what I saw. And one thing that was mentioned was the continuity that they've had in the healthy nature of their team. And they're healthier than everybody else. That holds a great deal of weight. Great deal of weight. And I told you why I think they are healthier than everybody else. I've been telling you all year why they're healthier than everybody else. It's because they use more talent in rotation more of the time. That keeps everybody healthier. It keeps everybody better. And they get that to the fullest. And I think they're probably the freshest team going into this playoff battle because of it. So I'm not surprised to see them go up 2-0 against a team that can't ever win on the road at all. That's exactly what they have done. They've gotten the Golden State Warriors, one of the worst road teams in the league. And so even though I thought that they would be able to overcome that for some reason, I shouldn't have. Simply put, I should not have. That's where I'm at with that. The Golden State Warriors have a hard time winning on the road, and against a team like Sacramento, it makes it that much more difficult. When you hear the arena roaring like it is right there, and look, I'm not surprised to hear that arena be that loud because Arco Center back in the day was one of the loudest buildings ever. Like that thing, the acoustics in that building were built just to make it so that everything was more loud than anywhere else in the arena. They took pride in that back in the day. So that is why that building erupts in ways that most don't. It's because the acoustics are built for it to do that. So that's just a little tidbit for those who don't remember that era. A lot of us do. And Sacramento would bring cowbells in there, and you would have to turn your TV down just to watch the game. That's how loud it would get. Let's hope they don't think to do that again, because it will make for an interesting dynamic for a lot of these players that don't know of that culture. But Sacramento, it states, the legend tells it is this. Phil Jackson called Sacramento a cow town back in the day when the Lakers were playing them. And so they went crazy and bought cowbells to their arena. Like everyone in the front row, all around the arena, would be ringing cowbells in the ears of the players. It was absolutely deafening. And guys would have to wear like ear plugs to just basically sit on the sidelines. You couldn't hear your plays, couldn't hear the coach, couldn't hear yourself think. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And beating them was extremely gratifying because of it. But they solidified their own culture. That's what you got to give Sacramento the credit for. They have always showed up for their team. Their team has always been a struggling franchise, but when they do play well, they show up. And when it's playoff time, they're one of the most, dedicated fan bases in sports, quite honestly. And they have their own thing. That light the beam gimmick is serious, man. I tell you, it's a motivating factor. That team wins more just because of that. I guarantee it. The psychological aspect of knowing that you can light a beam into the night sky and be rewarded each and every night for a victory, I'm telling you, it helps. It gives guys a reason to want to win. You don't want to let that fan base down. You want to see that in the sky when you leave the arena, and that is something that I think could propel them to greater heights than they would ever expect to go without it. On top of the fact they just have a legitimately very good team and a very good coach. Congratulations to Mike Brown on getting Coach of the Year. I believe he was given that. I don't know if that was announced. I don't want to say that it was announced. I think it was announced. I don't know. But he should definitely get it. I believe he should get it at the end of the day. And I thought I heard it was announced, but I don't want that to be out there and it ain't true. So, yeah, let's just pull back on that and we'll wait until we know that for certain. But I do know Jaren Jackson Jr. got Defensive Player of the Year. Certain of that. So congratulations to Jaren Jackson Jr. That is absolutely well deserved. And as I told people, the Lakers, just to chime into their situation quickly, I don't think Anthony Davis is going to see better defense than Jaren Jackson. I think he's going to get his best one-on-one assignment defensively in the first round, which should be very scary to most when you consider it. But all in all, we get back to that Golden State Sacramento situation. I just want to give Sac all the credit in the world because they beat the Golden State Warriors. They took every hard hit that the Splash Brothers threw at them. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson hit some huge shots down the stretch of this game. As always, 3-point shots for Klay Thompson. 2 of them in the last 4 minutes of the game. He was spectacular. But at the end of the day, De'Aaron Fox, the most clutch player of the season. I don't want to say in the game, but he's definitely a lot. He's a lot to deal with down the stretch. He hit buckets. He and Sabonis and their entire team just ran out the gym. Just like I said, I want to see with my Lakers. They dunked on the way out the door. You know what I mean? Don't pull back at all. Embarrass that team because you got to see them tomorrow and you want that momentum. You know, that kind of thing. So that's what they did. They did exactly what you're supposed to do. You keep the pace, the same pace, the whole game. You don't slow down the last 4 minutes. You speed up, if anything. And that's another thing. Just speaking of pace, it's hard to keep up with that Sacramento Kings team when at the pace that they run. Trying to keep up with them is crazy, man. So I totally see a whole formula for them to where, because they're so healthy and use so many players in ways that no other team does, they can also run at a pace that would, in theory, tire other teams out and maintain their health. So I think that might be worked into why they pace themselves so fast. It's because they know they can stay healthy where other teams cannot with that pace. So the Lakers, if we see them in the second round, we got to understand that pace control needs to be something that we do, because they are trying to tire teams out. And they know they have the ability to do so with a player like Fox and Monk, and those guys can run all day long. Keegan, those kids are young, good conditioned athletes, and they got plenty of them, plenty of bigs, as we know. So yeah, that's a very good conditioned team. That's also what needs to be said. You look at Alex Lynn and the type of conditioning he's in. Their whole team is like in tip-top shape. So I'm growing a respect for the Sacramento Kings as a very, very good playoff team after beating the champs twice in a row. You know what I'm saying? Not too many excuses for the old champs. Everybody's on the floor. Wiggins there, playing well. GP's there, playing well. Poole he played tonight. I don't know how well he played, but he played. So there's not a whole lot of excuses for that team, man. At the end of the day, they just ran into a better squad. I don't know what else to tell them. I don't think they're actually that bad of a team when you consider the Golden State Warriors and who they actually are. Yeah, they had some road woes, but they should be able to win on the road in the playoffs, but they can't seem to win in Golden One Arena against this particular team. And I think that's one of those situations where maybe they can get it at home. You know what I mean? Maybe they can tie this series up by winning games at home, because they certainly haven't had any issues winning at Chase Center. So I don't think this series is over. I don't see Sacramento sweeping the champs, but it just comes down to this. The Golden State Warriors must win in Golden One Arena. They don't have a choice. If they want to win this series, you have to win a game there. You cannot win all your home games and win this series. It's not mathematically possible in any way. So if the Golden State Warriors have shown us that they can't win in that building, this series is already over. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching.